So while I'm waiting, so you can hear the noise, yes, the train motor's still running. The two monorail motors are still running. And I put the camera there. Hi, camera. First of all, I'm missing my, oh, it's down there. I have my tripod connected to my camera lighting system to make myself more beautiful. Anywho, that's completely irrelevant. So I have to rejig my monorails back to running off the copper, and I rejig them off of copper, and so I'm actually looking around for, and my goodness, I hope I find them, my pickups, because I can't find my pickups right now, which is slightly annoying. So 3 of my 4 monorails might be batteries, but I don't have my power pickups on this messy desk of mine. But while I was doing this, I was getting my guys ready for the show, because I got these guys, and you've seen my layout. You know that this is one of my favorite trains. But while I was down here getting all this stuff ready, I had a quick look at this guy. And now this guy's not my favorite monorail vehicle ever, but I'm going to say it's unique, because I challenged myself, because I was coming up with all sorts of odd ways of having monorail motors and vehicles on monorail track. And so I spent a good amount of time way back in the day, you know, before I started developing the layout that I have now, but just playing with monorails to build various trains. And you've seen them, where again I take apart the actual connectors from an actual monorail base plate. I take my Dremel and I cut out 2x2 of the connectors so I can connect them to the actual motor, so I can make whatever size I want for the monorail bases. So this guy is only 8 studs long instead of 20 studs long, and it's basically plate and brick built. And again, as I say, I use the Technic 2x4 or 2x6 or 2x8 plate to hold the monorail bogies, which works perfectly fine. So you don't need to use the monorail base plate. You can make your own base plates as long as you want, but you still need to get that connector, which is modification of Lego. So you can see here, this guy here, nice cut edges. Now, what somebody should do is somebody should call up 4D printing or whatever, and actually print these pieces with that connector, so you can, you know, build whatever monorail you want without having the monorail base, because these, you know, this is what has to connect to the actual monorail motor, which I didn't mind taking Dremels to bases, because again, I can put them back on the bases, because that's how I cut it, so I can reattach them just by brick building them back in there. But that was fun. I enjoyed that. Overall, it stunned me well, because again, this is just one of my, I have all the other ones in the storage, right? So, and then I got to make these guys, and these guys are 100% brick built without any modifications. No Dremels, because it just uses the old-fashioned connector to connect it back here, right? So this side, this here connects to the ball and socket. So the only modified pieces I used, if you're remotely interested in this, and not too many people are, you're remotely interested in how I modified the monorail bases, there's a bunch of YouTube videos from 2 or 3 years ago. I did a whole series on them, explaining my monorail vehicles and trains and stuff. But this guy, I wanted to build a monorail without modification, first of all, but that didn't require any base plate. Build the whole thing on the actual monorail motor. So you take the monorail motor, such as this guy that's still running. Oops, I disconnected him. I'm plugging back in. This guy here, and make the train. Not within reach. This guy. There you go. And build without any modifications, so this thing would work on the layout. And it took me a long time. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say straight up, it took me a long time to figure out how to get the motor completely self-sustained, because you have to have the battery box. You had to have the battery box. In my case, no, now. But back then, I had to have the battery box. And so the battery box here had to be, and it's heavy, straight up, it's heavy. And you have to attach it to the actual monorail motor. And then you have to have like some sort of, you know, doodads where it looks like somebody's actually sitting there controlling this thing as a train. And so this is what I came up with. And I'm going to say, out of all the ones I've come up with, this one, again, not my favorite, but it's kind of cool. And it's completely self-sustaining. And the only thing is, will not go up and down ramps because the battery's too heavy. So as soon as it starts going to slope, it falls off because the battery weighs it down. Now, when I put these on here, so this is the modification, but it has nothing to do with the actual, you can do this without modifying. But this motor here, I was on Bricklink years ago, I think before I got married. And I was interested to see what the internal mechanisms look like, and to get, if I bust a motor, and just to get the base plate of the motor with the wheels on it, so I could actually extend my monorails using that, instead of just using the ball and sockets like I was doing, because I was interested in doing that. So I went on Bricklink and I went in the forums. I said, who's got a busted monorail motor that they want to sell me? And some guy said, I got one, $10. I said, perfect, because the motors are going for like $40, $50, whatever they're going for at the time. And so $10 for a broken one? Sure. What? Hey, it's an experiment. I had no problem crumpling up $10 and throwing it out for an experiment. So I paid the $10, he shipped it to me. And it was indeed broken. It would not work. No matter what I did, it was not spinning. I put it up, batteries, whatever. I tested it all because I got a billion monorail motors to verify that thing's working. But this motor was not working. So what I did was I drilled out, and you can see in the bottom here, and if I can show you this bottom here, you can see it has the white coming all the way down. That's the locking gizmo between the black base and the white top. So here's the white top, here's the black base, and that white in there is what locks the white on top into the base. So I took a little tiny drill, and I drilled out those lugs, we'll call them lugs, a little bit, just a little bit, because I didn't want to destroy the motor, even though it's already broken. The thing, I said, hey Google. So even though it was already broken, I didn't want to destroy it. So what I did is I drilled those things a little tiny bit, and just enough so I could pull it apart so the bottom comes straight off. Now, you don't rip it off. Rule number one, do not rip it off. But you can take it off, and there's a little motor, there's a little gear and a slidey switch that this thing is on that moves metal tabs back and forth across the circuit board, which is where you get, neutral, forward, and reverse. So be careful when you take it apart. But there's not too many pieces inside. There's a little gear on an axle. There's that little plastic piece that slides back and forth. This piece here that slides back and forth. And attached to that little piece that slides back and forth, there are two metal tabs that complete the circuitry. And again, just like Lego's done with everything else, you look at the circuit board, they way overthought the plumbing of the circuit board. But again, I'm not going to complain because it works. So I took it apart. I said, hey, that's really cool. I'm sure on the internet, so I saw one on somebody's webpage one time, but I said, I got my own. I took it apart. Then I put it back together. And it worked. So I think the slideys, the metal tabs that are sliding back and forth were not actually connecting with the circuit board. They bent them a little bit up, and the thing worked perfectly fine afterwards. Now, the problem is, of course, I drilled out the lugs that hold the top to the bottom, and so this thing, if you wiggle it, you'll see that it will actually come off again. Don't want to do that, because I'll show you why. Because this thing came apart, because I made it come apart, what I was able to do, I drilled two little tiny holes and put wires through. I soldered wires to the pickups inside. I soldered wires straight to the pickups. And then I put the wires out here, and I soldered the ends of the wires to these little pickup rails in the bottom here. So what happens is if you pull this thing off, you'll break the wires. I mean, this thing will still work as a monorail with the battery, but this thing will, the pickups will no longer work because the wires are connecting these pickups to the circuit board. And it was when it was soldered together when I had the bottom put back on. So there's no play in the wires at all. So if you pull it off, the wires will break. But this thing with these wires has run flawlessly for years now, which is utterly fantastic. And this is what my biggest thing is. When I had the pickups on the front of these guys, it didn't run flawlessly. First of all, not a lot of weight here to keep it down. And it sometimes would lose connectivity with the copper on the tracks, which is what it is. And I keep on trying to come up with better solutions. And the best solution I have found is slot car braided wire. But that's hard to get in there because there's not a lot of clearance between the bottom of the rung here and the actual monorail track. Like it's like less than a millimeter. Like it's very, very thin. Like we're talking a 16th or less than a 16th of an inch, the tolerances. And so if you have a thick braided wire in there, basically it lifts this whole bogie right off the monorail track, and this thing just flops around and will not stay in one spot. So that doesn't work at all for me. So I tried just copper tape. The problem with copper tape is it's flat, there's no braid to it, there's no give to it, and it would just sometimes just right up off the copper that it's connecting with, and therefore you broke the circuit. So then I tried to put a spring inside here that pushes down on the copper tape to keep it down on the monorail, on top of the copper tape there. And that didn't work because it would always, again, press the bogie away from the monorail track. So I have not found a perfect solution besides the braids, but again, the braids are too thick mostly to run monorail like a slot car. But this guy, and you can probably see the wear on the copper. You can see it right at the bottom. It's pretty worn. And I would imagine that someday those are going to wear out. But this was not copper tape. This is copper that you get at the hobby store that tinsmiths or stained glass people use. I use that for this guy. I can't use that for these guys, because it's just too thick. But on the bottom of this guy, because it doesn't interfere with the motor, you can see the gears of the motor stick out right there. So it doesn't interfere at all with the motor, the gear that connects with the monorail gear, the track gear. I can't complain. I honestly can't. And so this thing is a convertible. Right now there's an old 9-volt in here, and that is dead. Although you can see the lights sort of come on, maybe. Let's see, if I put it the other way, it's just going to start flashing. So you can see, and you can hear the motor spinning on the bottom. But this battery was in here in Anime North last year for the last couple days. And then this battery was in there when I went to Mississauga Comic Expo, and that ran for a day. So this battery's pretty much done. There's no torque left to it at all. When there's no pressure on it, it works fine. But if you put it on the track right now, it's not going to run as well. So I have to replace that battery. And I keep the battery in there when I was at Mississauga Comic Expo, because I didn't have power going to the layout, which is fine because I only had this and this monorail running. So this one actually has a battery too, and I replaced the pickups, which I'm mad about right now because I can't find it, and I don't want to build another one between now and the show. So I'm tearing apart my room, which is a disaster to begin with right now. I'm tearing apart my room trying to find that guy. And every time I see like a 9-volt connection, like, woo, nope, that's not it. So it's like, I'm going to reiterate, and I've said it, and I've said it, and I've said it 100 times. I have to downsize. I am, here's a word for you, discombobulated right now. I am so discombobulated right now with the state of this room. It's not making me happy. It's not making me sad. I mean, I'm not, throw it all out. No, I do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. But what I want to do is I want to downsize this room. I want to, well, the floor is half full, so I can still see half the floor, but the other side is full. And what's out here is I got stuff like this, which I'll never open, straight up. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, I don't mind Star Wars. Star Trek's the way of life. But I bought this because it was stupid cheap. And someday some friend might want it. And I'm going to sell it to him. Because like, I usually don't sell Lego, but I'm getting to the point where, yeah, I'm selling Lego. And so you might see a few videos back when I traded Lego Monorail for a whole bag of yellow bricks that are just still sitting here after 3 or 4 weeks. They're sitting right there. I haven't even had a time to get into that. And I probably won't even get into it until the fall or winter, because right now it's summertime and I'm super busy outside. The other thing is I got, oh, you guys saw that. It's over there. So, but Sandy got me a botanical set for my birthday, which is awesome because they're beautiful. And I want to put that together. Just don't have time. So, but I got a big bag of yellow used bricks there that I have to do something with that weighs a virtual ton. I got tote back there full of Lego that I have to sort out. I got a whole bunch of bags from Valley Village that I want to make videos on. I got another lot today. Stupid me, because I keep on saying I have to downsize, but I couldn't pass it up as classic Lego, and I'll make a video with that. But I haven't finished sorting out the last lot that I got that I made those videos on, where I got those 6 sets, the Fabuland and the Classic Space and a couple of those town sets. The bins are right there. They're sorted by color, but I haven't sorted from the bins into the collection yet because I haven't had time. So it's like, and then I got other stuff in here like this guy, which I found. This is nostalgic. Look at that. Look at that shirt. I made these shirts with our Cricut. It's one of the very first things I did on our Cricut. Ontario Brick Builders doesn't exist anymore. But I got a shirt. A friend of ours from the good old US of A sent us these shirts. This one's for Josh, but I think he won't even fit him now. I got mine up in my drawer, which I'll probably be wearing this weekend. But never been worn kid shirt. And it's too small for Josh now, but I don't want to get rid of it because a friend sent it up for me from Florida. So there's that. There's some sets in here, like this guy that Josh started building and just lost interest, and so it's here in the box. Optimus Prime's there in the corner, still in the box, because here's another set that Josh started building but lost interest in. I am just, yeah. At my desk is full right now. Of course, I'm testing. So, whoops, let me turn that on. I'm testing, so that's a good thing. But I don't know what I want. I want to make a vid. I want to put on display because I got a dozen totes in the garage full of my classic space sets that I put together for all those videos and blah, blah, blah. But when that video is done, I honestly have to start selling these sets off and get them out of this house. Because I do not want this Lego room. It's 8 feet wide, 18 feet long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 Billy bookcases full of Lego. Underneath here, some Lego. Up there, some Lego for display. I don't want it to leave this room, and yet I have like a dozen totes in the garage that are full of Lego. They're just sitting there, taking up space in the garage, and they'll sit there for years without being touched. And it does bother me. I'm not a pack rat. I'm not a hoarder. I am a fan, and yet I also don't want to just give it away. But anyway, so that was 2 or 3 stories, mostly about this guy, which I appreciate because the effort I put into it. Oh, and the other thing, I just, for the first time in years, I modified it. I put this in the back here just to add some more stuff to it, just because I wanted to. So that's something that, you know, I always, because I complained, you heard me complain if you watched all my videos about the classic space sets, where I was like, the pros and cons, and most of the cons where there's no control panels, or very little control panels, or no controls at all, and yet here's me on my own build, and she's got nothing. She's got absolutely nothing in there. So I had to put a control panel behind her head. the only place I can put it, but that's fine. She has a control panel. so yay! So, it is what it is. I can't fault Lego for not putting control panels on their sets when I don't bother putting them on mine. So here's me putting them on mine. I mean, at least this guy has a steering wheel. I get the irony. Every time I see that, I laugh. I always laugh when I saw the steering wheel in Monorail. I mean, they didn't do that in the. I don't think they did in the sets. They put the lever on the set. If I remember correctly. I have to look up my 6990 to see if they have. I think they have a lever. They have the control plates there. But what else? Yeah, I'm gonna go looking for that. That bothers me. I know I put it someplace where I said I'm gonna find this easy by putting it someplace I could find easy, and yet here I am tearing it apart my room. So that's it. That's all. I hope everybody's doing well. Hey, that's 2 videos. One day. You'll get them in opposite days, but 2 videos in one day. Can't complain about that. I honest to goodness hope everybody's doing well. I know I haven't put up a video in a long time. I have been, quote unquote, sadly negligent, even though I don't think so, in my YouTube endeavors. But in the end, I've been outside. I've been having a great time doing stuff around the house. I got to work in the wood shop, which always makes me happy. The wood shop's mint, so the Lego room's suffering. When the garage is full of stuff in the winter and I can't do anything, this place is empty. So it's like one of my 2 hobbies gets cluttered and the other one gets cleaned up, and then that gets cluttered and this one gets cleaned up. So I don't know what that is. I'm sure somebody with a psych degree can chime in on that. Anyway, excuse me, I'm going to go look for stuff. So I want everybody out there to stay safe, take care. Good to be back. I'm gonna do 50 minutes this far. I'm possibly going to be doing a live at the show at Anime North. I'm thinking Friday night, Saturday morning. I'm going to post a quick video, hopefully a couple hours before, and I'll upload it and say what is going to happen. I want to get the lay of the land first. I want to see how my internet connection is working to my phone. But I do want to do a live at the show of the layout and the people swarming by, and I think that'll be a good thing, a fun thing for everybody to see. So if you can't make it, you'll be able to see it. I don't think I will see what the rest of Torolog wants to do, if they want me to be videoing their stuff. But right now I'm just probably going to bring my tripod, put it on a layout, and you guys can see the layout live and talk to me. I'll have hopefully my iPad there too, and then you guys can text and whatever, and I can chat, and we'll go from there. So we'll see how it works. Again, this is all me winging it, so that's what I like to do. That's what I will continue to do. That's because that's what I like to do, and I will talk to you guys all soon. Take care.